We're live.
Woo!
Yay.
Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. Amazing. Thank you for joining us. If anyone is out there already, I'm Erica Fortgang. I'm joined by Jared Treadley and Joanne Weaver. We are your favorite creative recruiters based out of areas of New York City. And today we are joined by Bello, a wonderful, hello Chi, product designer, head of design, sort of consultant, everything. Um, I will go into a little bit of a sort of background in a second, but first, if anyone is here out there, we'd love to know where you're calling in from.
Wow, all our sweet locations. It's always fun to see where people are.
How are you guys? How was your long weekends?
Oh yeah, spring, summer. It's coming. New York's coming back to life after this winter.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I definitely feel more energized.
How was your weekend?
I actually, what did I do? I feel like I did something on Friday, but I can't remember what it was. But the rest of the weekend, I just, I've been running lyrics for my show. I'm just really trying to memorize all of my lyrics. That's been a real kind of weak spot for me. But they say your weaknesses can become your strengths.
Okay.
So I'd
for
really
your
like
show?
for my George Michael show. Coming up on Friday, June 20th, everybody, in the East Village, New York.
All right.
Nice. Good plug.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. So we just pinned down the set list, and now it's just like getting the lyrics in there.
Nice.
Getting them in there.
How many songs are you doing?
I think 10.
How many costume changes?
I haven't decided on that yet. I mean, there's a distinct difference visually from Wham to like Faith George Michael to the older George Michael.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a really tiny stage. I mean, it's a nice size room, but the stage is like super small, and we're already going to have like 4 of us up on there.
Yep.
So trying to find like a little screen to change behind. I just don't know. I don't know if we can make it work, but we'll see.
Are you singing and dancing, or what is the show?
Can you sing without dancing?
Flailing around is probably like a better way to describe it. Yeah.
Really?
George Michaels. Well done. Nice.
I love it.
Okay.
Thanks.
He's so great.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
Chi, where are you? Are you in Brooklyn, or where are you?
I am in Harlem, and so that's right off the 6, 110 in Lexington.
Oh,
yeah.
Way up
I'm
north.
in the Upper
East Side.
Couple stops below you. 77th on the 6th.
Cool.
That's neighbors.
Yeah. I see we got some in the comments here. We got a few boroughs covered too. Some Queens, some Brooklyn, NYC.
Chicago. Hi, Ryan.
San Francisco. Hey, Ryan.
Riley from Raleigh. Raleigh from Raleigh. I love it.
Great stuff.
Thank
you to all the people jumping in there.
Names up here. Yay, thanks for coming again. Yarden. I went to NYC by Design with her. I think it was last week with you, Yarden. It was wonderful. We saw Will there. Wonderful speaker. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his last name.
Will Hall.
Will Hall. Wonderful.
Yeah. Shout out to Dave in Queens. Also, Dave plays guitar, I'm pretty sure. So another fellow double duty designer musician. So
love it.
I think Dave plays in a band too.
Yes, I saw Dave. Dave, I saw you outside of my Broan gig. He was also outside of Rockwood. I think you had just finished a gig or about to do a gig, and I was like, what?
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Designers pulling double dudy. Do you have any I guess could you call them hobbies outside of design, Chi? Do you have any other?
Right now,
singing, dancing, playing music, photography. I don't know, something.
My current crucifixion is training my cat how to walk in the hallways on leash.
I love that.
So it's quite the difficulty to actually get the harness around him and then coax him out with like bunches of treats. So I've actually noticed him gaining quite a bit of weight because he's very food motivated, and he should only get like this much in terms of treats, and I give him this much in terms of treats, and so it's very sweet whenever he's like, no, I don't want to be out anymore, because he'll run back and he'll like put one little paw on the door And then
Oh,
he'll
no.
like stop, look at me, and then put another paw again on the door. He's very polite. So he's my current hobby right now.
Oh,
Animal
Okay.
training.
Animal
Oh
trainer.
gosh,
wow.
that's so
Cat
hard.
trainer, no less. That's a big job. That's
Yeah,
Lots
not
of
just any
patience.
feline. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, aside from just being the feline trainer, Erica, I
Yeah.
believe, was going to introduce our wonderful
Yes.
guest today.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I think we've all known Chi Chi for a couple of years now in the New York design scene. But Chi Chi is a visual designer and art direction background. She's worked in-house, she's worked agency, she's done a lot of consulting and freelance with friends. She's also done, she's been a head of design for a fintech platform called Equi. I think that's how you say it. And she was covering both brand side and the UX. She's worked in other health tech companies, mission-driven organizations. I think earlier in your career, you worked for Under Armour, which I thought was really
Yes.
cool. And
Mhm.
maybe did a typeface revamp for eBay, which sounds
Yes.
really cool. I'd love to hear
Wow.
more about that.
Cool.
Mhm.
Um, and currently, she's doing some contract and freelance gigs with some friends, and she's also
Mhm.
working with her brother on his startup, which you can talk more about later. But we'd love to learn more about sort of how that came to be and also maybe what it's like working with family. But thank you. Welcome.
Thanks,
Yay.
Chi.
Happy to
Welcome.
be here. This is fantastic. I love you, Joanne, Erica, and Jared. It's been like a long time that we've been best
Mhm.
buddies, friends, professional, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here's another
Yeah,
role that you might want to try. So really happy to be here. It's fantastic to be on the channel right now.
Yeah.
love
Yay,
that.
thank you.
Yes,
Cool.
and you came to our first Design Unfiltered in real life event
Mhm.
in September as well. So it was so nice to
Yes.
finally see you in person.
Yes,
Yes.
and you guys aren't disembodied heads anymore. It was actually like, whoa, oh my gosh, you're
Real.
much
I
taller
know, we
than
had
I imagined.
bodies. I know,
Mhm.
crazy.
Buddies.
Yep.
Yep.
I love that.
Love that. Well, as always, too, like definitely encourage anyone here to ask questions and to drop in thoughts, questions, comments, anything like that in the comment
Yeah.
section, because we
Mhm.
do see them and we love to kind of jam real time with you. That was always our goal with this channel, was bringing you a guest, and we have our questions we want to ask and things we're curious about, but at the same time, it's giving anyone watching access to another designer that maybe they wouldn't have had access to before, or maybe they don't know you, but now you have access. Right now we've got a platform, so dig in, ask the burning questions or drop comments. It's all welcome. It's open
Mhm.
space. Safe space.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
For sure.
definitely. Chi Chi, do you want to share a little bit more about, I guess, what you're up to currently right now?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I am, like you mentioned before, I am working with friends on their Series B startup. So they are a head of design at a construction AI company, and I help out with their marketing and their branding. So what's really interesting is that when you do marketing and branding and you understand product, you can kind of like see
Ooh.
how the marketing and branding will then affect the product, and then how the product and what it does and like what it means and who they serve affects the marketing and the branding. So I've actually known this person for 10 years, and for 10 years, and since eBay in San Francisco. And
Wow.
so they moved to New York City, and I actually took over their apartment whenever they moved. And so we've been pretty close, best buddies,
Oh,
and
cool.
The New
it's
York story.
Yeah.
and we've been working together, I think, ever since end of January. So it's given me a chance to have free time in order to work on other friends, their startups. So one friend needed a kind of like a branding project done, as well as like a little bit of UX UI on, I think, an electronic medical health records program, as well as working on Outbox. So it's kind of like a full docket. Even though I'm part-time on certain things, they all just kind of come together, and it's a full-time gig running different
Wow.
plates spinning right now.
Wow.
And you mentioned Outfox. You kind of
Yeah.
dropped that in there very
Yeah.
coyly. Tell us more about Outfox. This is your company that you co-founded with your brother.
Yes. So Outfox is oh my gosh, how do I say this? It is a property it's not an assessment, but it essentially helps out property owners who need to protest their property values in Texas, specifically Harris County. And Harris County is the second largest county in all the United States behind Orange County. So it's a massive market. And so my little brother happens to be a tax appraiser, and he is our subject matter expert. And we've had this idea since last June, and we have been grinding ever since. And at the end of December, we realized that we put in about $70,000 worth of work into it. So that's so I think it's maybe about 68 75,000 in our hours, and then 2,000 invoicing for like proper developers. And so add on what happened this year, and it's quite a lot of manpower just between the two of us. Of course, we have a team now, and it's been a really, really good experience. I mean, my brother and I, we definitely fight. His name is Jojo. So we've got Chi and Jojo Bello. We're very good as a brand. It's a very Filipino thing to have a first syllable repeated twice, and so it's been fun working with him through the marketing, the product, and trying to understand engineering and product itself. So product management rather. So so we've gotten through our first MVP, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's an uphill battle. Yes. So we launched April 15th, and out of we did the math on it, and we went from on our Facebook ads 240,000 in reach, and then we got 2 people converting. So we've got to fix our MVP like right away.
Yeah. But that's like a happy thing to realize that too, right? Like it's like, okay, like we know what's wrong. Like it sounds like you're like looking at people use the product and like where are they getting stuck. So it's like that's just really rich information to know, right?
Yes. Yes. So we actually found that like from Facebook to our site, it's like about 3,000 people. So that's a massive sign that people actually go to your website, and then people who actually click on the sign up button, that's about 100 people, and then we convert to. So even though we haven't sold any product, just like the signals of like people where you're actually solving a problem, people wanting your product is, I think it's pretty massive. So we're kind of strategizing right now, and we're moving forward with like the team that we have. So it's a PM, an engineer, and then another engineer in Uruguay. So really great. I love them. I adore them.
Wow.
Nice.
I feel
and
like
how did this come in? Oh, sorry.
Go.
I think we had the same question, maybe. How did this come about? Like, where was your headspace, or what was your kind of life situation where you're like, you know what, this feels like a good time to do my own thing?
Yeah, founding a company sounds like a lot, right? It's not just a straightforward thing, but it sounds like you just kind of dove in. Something led you to that, or gave you confidence to feel that you could take that on.
Yeah.
So we started in June, July, just ideating. Like I have it broken down by months, June, July, August, September, etc., until December. And it was a slow go because my brother, he's full-time working, and I was full-time working. Actually, was I? No, I was just let go from Equi because he did a restructure. And I was kind of reevaluating. Exactly. So
they freed you up for new opportunities.
Yes.
That's the nice way to say it. They freed me up. It was a great learning experience, and I was able to take a lot of what I learned, at Equi, doing brand and product at the same time, and kind of funnel it into going into starting the company. So it was really like starting out with my brother. We had 3-4 months where we were just strategizing. We were just talking, shooting the shit, and like he's the one with the idea, and he just kept bringing it up. And I was like, okay, so we're going to build a team, and we didn't do anything. And then we actually decided to do the exercise of, what is our product? Who does it serve? We actually made an investor deck for ourselves, which is kind of weird. But we were thinking like, well, how do we sell it to ourselves actually? So we had like the problem statement, we had like the roadmap of what we wanted, and then we actually then looked at like, well, what were our costs and what was the project with each person involved, and then we're thinking, well, this is doable. This is absolutely doable. Clock in a couple months later when we were actually finished with the designs and finished with a lot of the research, and we had this moment of like, oh my gosh, we have no money. We need friends, family to help us out. And that's how it really, really got started, actually. So it wasn't the ideation. It wasn't just like landing on a product, but that first moment of like complete utter dismay was like the actual moment the company came into formation. And so, and that's where it all happened. So it was not an amazing moment. It was terrible. It was
but it got things started. I was curious a little bit about before that too. You've worked in a lot of startups before, right? Or early stage stuff, and even some of this part-time work that you're doing is with early stage companies. Do you yourself have this pull towards earlier stage, like that real build phase? It sounds like maybe you do. And why? What is it about that you like? That's even before starting your own company, you were drawn to it in some way. What is it about that? What do you love?
Oh my gosh, I have to say that I'd worked at like Disney and Under Armour and like eBay, and they were fantastic human beings, but there was like, it would take us literally like 10 months to get anything done. It was like do into the ether, do, up the chain, never hear it again. And then like I started working in startups, and it was like things changed immediately. Working with them, I understood that not only did things change immediately, but they needed it done before. And so it was a really great training ground to understand like how to be very decisive and to be really, really quick. And that was two things that I wanted to learn as a product designer. So like doing visual design, you're making really cool, fresh things that were very novel and very trendy. And there was a lot of bureaucracy, like if you're an agency, but when you're in a startup, it's like you're making stuff and it really, really matters. And you are doing it at speed, faster than at speed, with like an entire team. And that was really, really super exciting. And just seeing things come to life, like having actual users and not just people who are like, I like that ad, not just saying like advertising because I'm in the thick of it right now doing marketing for Outbox. But it was, I massively prefer working in startups. Not only is it the speed, but you actually get to understand your C-suite as people.
You're closer to them. You have this proximity to them.
Yes, like for good or for bad, whether they're tapping on the shoulder at like 3 a.m. on your 3-day weekend, that happens. But you get to understand like the actual product. You understand like the way things work. You understand engineering and product much better because you're closer to all the teams. Like it is tight quarters, and you are having a blast, or you are trauma bonding at the same time. So it's I dig the closeness, like the closeness and the speed and the builds that happen.
I love the way you've described that and how that's just, by the sounds of it, also just personally suited maybe your style, your work style, what energizes you in the work, and kind of moving at that pace obviously brings you energy as well.
Okay. And Chi-Chi, what would you say, like for people that might be tuning in that maybe are at these bigger companies, maybe even mid-sized companies, but they are feeling that entrepreneurial drive. They have that kind of personality. They're excited by what you're saying about like, oh, I can actually make real impact. I have access to C-suite. What is some advice that you'd give people that might be in those bigger companies that have a desire to go more startup-y, or they want to try it, or what kinds of skills could they be building in a bigger company so that they could be more attractive or just better set up to be in a startup?
Yeah. Well, I think one good step for people who are right now in larger kind of legacy organizations is try to look at legacy organizations trying to build kind of like an innovation hub. So they actually have like, a group of people who are trying to make a lot of impact and change on like a very lean budget, very lean team. And so there were two roles that I was looking at, and they went with a different person, but that's totally fresh and cool because, you need to have like people kind of gel in the team really well. But they were legacy institutions, maybe about like, 2,000, 3,000 strong. But the people that I would be working with, they were, I think it was only like 5 to 10 people. And so you really got the sense of like you were working in a startup. Another way to just kind of get your feet wet into startups is, maybe this is an odd way, but I'd say start working with friends who are building their own startups. Because you're just building up experience to actually go into maybe a Series A, or like even before that a pre-seed. So just it's all very additive. So
Right.
if you have a friend who needs a logo, build them a logo. If you have a friend who needs a site, build them a site. You'll get into the groove of just like getting feedback back and forth really quickly, and kind of like moving with teams at large. And it's like baby stepping into it, because it's very difficult to just hop into a startup because there's no experience, or because it is actually just it's way too fast.
Right.
So working with friends, helping them build their companies would be great. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It feels like this is the time for a lot of that too. I feel like now more than ever, and you're an example of this, like launching their own things. Do you think maybe in your experience the barrier to starting a product is lower because of some of the tooling and because of some of the ways that you can go from idea into working product? That has reduced a little bit with a lot of AI tooling, and I think as a designer you're probably more dangerous, right, with what you can actually put out. Have you found that with starting your own thing, that the barrier feels a little bit more like you can dive right in because you have this tooling? Yeah.
I think for everybody,
Right.
everybody is like building. So I have had PMs come from, they're like, so do you have like a design system or just like a template pack that I can use to start building my own startup in Figma? And it's like, oh my gosh, like you getting into Figma is dangerous. File governance, man. But like just the tools out there are amazing. So for my startup with Outfox, we didn't know how to build out a marketing cadence. So it was
Right.
literally like, give us content for the entire year. Here's like our company. And then have them help write the articles. And so we took those articles from, I think we're using Claude because they have more of a writing bent as opposed to
Yep.
ChatGPT, which is more of like a multi-tool where you can do like images and more coding. So we used Claude, and then my brother did the full pass, and then I would do the designs if things had to be more visual. And there is a time and a place, and I wish we actually had like a social media team. I wish we had like more marketers, because they would have cut out a lot of the anxiety and ambiguity for us. But for just getting started, like we were able to build out our marketing cadence. So
Wow.
that was amazing, because in order to get the word out about our startup, we needed marketing, and so that was a really quick way to do it.
This age of DIY, it's now more than ever, isn't it? Everyone can be so much more self-sufficient, and even just having the confidence to feel like we can have a go at this. We can do it. We don't necessarily we're not going to be able to hire a marketing team, but we need to do some marketing. Well, we better figure it out. Yeah.
Well, one thing that I found that was actually really amazing is that we could do it, but then I asked friends who were in marketing, who were like lead, I think it's like a lead gen, and they were able to give us the download at like what we needed to do to prompt.
Right.
And so it was actually like this combination of like asking the right people the right things at the right time, and then being able to leverage AI in order to actually build it out. And I did constant check-ins with these people, so it wasn't a matter of just doing it yourself, but doing it with guidance from people in the network. So that was super useful for sure.
You said the word network. I want to switch gears a little bit, because I feel like so much of what you're saying when you're talking about making this company and also freelancing with friends is that you're really leveraging your network in this really profound way. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about like how you approach like making Outfox, but then also freelancing with friends. How did you network, and how did you get those connections going? How did you get that stuff going through your network? Like, how did you leverage that and build community and all those kinds of things?
So it was actually word of mouth. So just as an example, I have a friend named actually, I don't know if it's here. A friend named Christian. He's an amazing designer. He's fantastic human being, and we meet every 30 minutes, like religiously. And he happened to say, "Hey, I have a friend named Riley and his friend Calvin, and they're helping businesses." Shout out to BizZero. And they said that they could be our kind of like small business coaches. One's a product manager, one is an engineer, and Christian just said, "Hey, Riley, Chichi's doing this. You might be interested in helping them out, or even just checking out what they're doing." And so being very vulnerable and telling my friends that I was doing something pretty scary and pretty new, and I guess also just like felt like would be an uphill battle just for me and my brother, opened the floodgates for people to like help us out. So talking about my project, and being really enthusiastic and showing that enthusiasm for people aside with the vulnerability really helped like with the network effect. So it was close friends. Like, so I think the 30 minutes talking with Christian, the once a month talking with my friend Mary, just like checking in with like buddies, like, just saying how I was feeling and what I was doing really, really strengthened the network that I had. And then also going to mixers. It was, I don't like it. I went to one in January and I went to one 3 weeks ago and I'm going to one tomorrow and I'm absolutely
Hey.
terrified.
Ah.
Oh.
Cause so how do you know to make a conversation? How do you know who's gonna end up being a friend or will you just be ignored? Pro tip: always buy a drink, not because you need to be lubricated, but you need to have your throat be set up for screaming at one another across 3 feet away from you. So whether it be water, tonic water, just like be prepared to scream at one another and have fun. Yes, hydrate. Yes, very much so.
The more screaming at a network event, it's better. It's like proportional.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
And also like have like games. Like one person was like, I'm gonna talk to all the ladies in the room. I mean, it was a tech mixer, so there was like 10 out of like
smaller
80
ratio
of us.
right.
Smaller pool. Or it was like, I'm gonna talk to all the people in white coats.
Yep.
And so because it was like the winter time, so it wasn't like I'm going to talk to all the product managers. I'm going to talk to all the founders and all the funders. It's like, how do you make small talk but by being like authentic and very low stakes. Another one was like hang out with the barflies, people who are also being wallflowers, and just kind of like, hey, you're not feeling the vibe either. I'm not feeling the vibe. Let's vibe together. So so after that, I think the January mixer, I made friends with a person named Greg, who's a social media person. And he's been helping out on Outfox, I think, for about 3-4 months. And we actually barter work. So I've been helping him out with his portfolio and his website, and he's been helping me out on Outfox. So even though it's no exchange of money, it's definitely an exchange of ideas and it's an exchange of like friendship, which I feel super lucky to have him in my life.
That's awesome.
This is amazing. This is so inspiring. I think with some of this, you really I just keep thinking as you tell these stories and share these anecdotes, it's like you're putting yourself out there. You started by being vulnerable and sharing with friends and family that you were either looking for work or taking on new work, had the space for new work, right through to making games at a networking event to meet more people. It's like all this kind of just putting yourself out there, and it feels like that's maybe one of the only ways to get something back. You've got to put it out there.
And it's but I think it's nice. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say all those things were like little moves. Yeah. Yes. So I was just gonna say like they're all little moves, like the games, going like once every 2 months to a mixer, being with your closest friends and family and just saying like, I need help with work. Reaching out to recruiters, that has been immensely helpful because you guys kind of tell us like what the down low is. Like, is the market kind of up? Is the market kind of down? Am I doing something wrong? Can you look at my portfolio? Like reaching out to you guys has been like really heartening in the past 6 months being part-time and trying to fill up my hours. And it happens.
Well, you do beautiful work.
Yeah,
do very
beautiful.
And
also
you're very rare, Chi-Chi, because you do product design and you do marketing and brand design. I always shiver in my boots whenever a client's like, can you find us somebody that does both? And I'm just like, no, buddy. I mean, really? And you're one of the rare unicorns out there that does it.
Leveraging the expertise.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. But I think, going back to the networking thing, I think everybody kind of hates mixers or networking events on some level, except for like the ones that are like just super gregarious and like just can't wait to meet people, like kind of like the puppy dog kind of, persona of people. But I think what helps me sometimes, like if I'm not feeling particularly social, but I've already, agreed to go, I'm just like, what can I give people? Like maybe it's like what you said, like finding other wallflowers, like, keeping them company. But I think also just realizing that like everybody feels the same way to some
Yeah.
degree. And even though it might
Mhm.
seem like people are like deep in conversation and they love being there, they probably didn't feel that way before they stepped in the door. Probably.
No, no. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Everybody feels like a little bit like feel like a little bit uneasy going in with like a room full of strangers and being super extroverted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's super hard to do, even for like
Yeah,
for all the introverts. I think there's a lot of introvert designers, engineers,
Yeah.
PMs,
definitely.
like so we literally we're literally all in it together.
Yeah.
Would you
Uh,
say that the ones you're going to, are they like design focused? Are they tech focused? Is it something completely outside of the tech space? Do you go by yourself every time? You know?
It's a little bit of all the above. So the one in
Yeah.
January was definitely like a tech mixer, but it was founders, it was funders, and it was just random people who were across like, agencies, they were analysts who were looking to build their own thing. There were, of course, designers and engineers. And then the last one that I went to a couple weeks ago was specifically for people who are fractionals, founders, and funders. And so
Yep.
it's since May is mental health awareness
Mhm.
month. The focus of that second mixer was really to talk about burnout. And
Mm.
people were like
Mm.
in consumer packaging, some people were in consultancies, some people were in, I think one actually had a dance studio. And
Wow.
so it was all over the board, but what we
Mhm.
all had in common was that we were all incredibly stressed out and needed a bit of like space and time to breathe. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm.
Gosh.
And I love that you were mixing with people that weren't specifically within tech or design, that you
Yeah.
have people that
oh,
are doing all sorts of different things. Because
mhm.
I feel like I was telling everybody, we had a little kind of pregame yesterday. There's a woman named Vanessa Edwards, I think her name is, and she does this class called The Science of People. So it's mostly for people that feel kind of awkward around people and they don't know how to kind of broach a conversation or they don't know how to
Mhm.
make their facial expressions match what they're trying to get across. So it's really just kind of like breaking down micro interactions and how do you say certain things to certain people to get this kind of an effect. Um, Sorry, I just took a really long side journey. I forgot what my main point was.
Networking events,
Connections,
introverts,
networking,
connections.
I don't
power of
remember.
weak
I lost
connections.
it.
Oh well.
Sorry.
It'll come
I'm
back.
memorizing too many lyrics. They're just all in there. I can sing George
Uh-oh.
Michael right now, but I can't remember my thought. I'll think of
Oh,
it
do
later.
so please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I think maybe this is it. So when you're talking about networks, like weak connections, is that what?
Thank you,
What?
Chi
Okay.
Chi. Yes, you saved
Ah.
me. Yes. So the power of weak connections, meaning people that maybe aren't in like your first degree LinkedIn people, or they could
Right.
even be weak connections too if you haven't talked to them for a while. But it could be like friends of your parents. It could be like childhood friends. It could that you haven't really kept in touch with, or that you're not in the same industry. But all these weak
Mhm.
connections actually bring the most business, that can actually bring
Mhm.
like the most connections, the most opportunities. And it's really about, and I like what you said earlier, where you go to these events and you're talking about what you're up to. So it's
Mhm.
just having these
Mhm.
things live in language. I just love that phrase of like
Mhm.
having what you're up to, your dreams, your desires. Like,
Mm.
what are you looking for? Are you looking for a business partner? Are you looking for
Mhm.
funding? To talk about it with people that maybe you wouldn't even think would be
Yeah.
involved in that world because they
Yep.
Yeah.
might know someone, or maybe they even are that
Mhm.
person for you. You never know. So I love
Yeah.
that idea of like just kind of opening up your mind to like where could an opportunity come from?
Mhm. Yeah, actually, one of my high school classmates, and so I'll date myself. We graduated in 1999 from high school, and she happened to be in product as a designer, and she actually reached out right after I announced that I was a strategic advisor for Outfox, and we're like, we both do the same things, and so now we have like monthly like 30-minute check-ins because she's a
Oh,
founder as well.
I love
She lives
that.
in Oklahoma and she has kids, and life is just very different. But we all have the similar like, how do we get funding? Oh my gosh, how do you do life with like with kids being, or do you feel isolated as a founder? And it's just it's so cool to like have such history and then kind of like reunite after like literally decades, literally like
Yeah.
I think it's like
Yeah.
25 years. And it was
Oh,
like picking up like conversation with an old friend, like nothing had changed. So
I
super
love
cool.
that. Wow. What a nice gift that
I
both of you
love
got
that.
in each
Mhm.
other. That's so lovely.
Mm.
Mhm.
Oh,
I think I think like the moral here is communication, is talking more and sharing more, right? Like
Mhm.
you had posted on your LinkedIn, Chi, that you are a strategic advisor for Outfox. I feel like that's probably what I saw also.
Mhm.
And yeah, just like communicating, reaching out to people, being vulnerable, talking. Yeah, we can't do this without talking, I guess.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one of the biggest things that I learned that actually turned me on my head was that I thought being vulnerable was a bad thing. Like
Okay.
I like in my family, I am the A+ student, 100%. Don't blink in the face of like a strong headwind. Like I am the strong, incredibly capable person in my family, and being very vulnerable to friends and colleagues was very, very difficult. And it actually, I have like massive rewards from just saying what I'm feeling, offloading some of like the mental heartache it is to be part-time being a founder.
Yep.
It has been so life-giving to reach out to other people and just do this or do this
Yeah,
and get
Mm.
the same response or get the they're there, it's gonna be okay. Like
yeah,
being
Yeah.
vulnerable has changed my life. Really, it has.
Yeah.
We are really in exceptional times, I think, in
Mhm.
terms of this tech space, the workplace, design's place in many companies. Like
Mhm.
times have changed a lot. Things are a lot different. The way companies grow and shrink so
Mhm.
fast, the way decisions are kind of made, and these senses of stability, I think,
Mhm.
are really different. You know, this definition of stability feels so different now. It's almost unique to each individual, but I think through it, it sounds like you're creating your own stability,
Mhm.
although maybe a little chaotic at times,
Mhm.
and definitely a lot of work. You are kind of future proofing things for yourself in some way, and maybe taking the reins and taking some control over things that take you away from all those other things that you couldn't control,
Mhm.
which were companies freeing you up for more opportunities or
Mhm.
whatever it might have been. So yeah, I find that really inspiring about your founder journey as well. Is
Mhm.
part of it is like I'm taking the reins. I'm going to do this for
Yeah.
myself. I'm going to create some stability, and then finding a way through that as well. I'm putting in a lot of hours to this, so I'm going to
Mhm.
supplement with part-time work, and yeah, it's just kind of doing what you got to do in some ways, but with a bigger
Yes.
goal in mind.
Yes. Absolutely. Like being in startups, like you really commit. Like just like working like
Mhm.
mm,
as like a founding designer and head of design, like you are part of like the leadership. People want to hear what you say as a designer and as somebody who creates like the consumer experience. And with all this instability, like it's kind of weird because like you are unstable, but you want to commit, and these opportunities just aren't there. So I was thinking with friends, it's just like, why not bet on yourself? Like, why not just trust yourself, build your
Mhm.
own network, build your own teams? And when I mean build your own teams, it's like choose the right people to work with. And when I mean the
Right.
right people, people you vibe with, people you respect, people that you love, people that you would have a beer with.
Yep.
And
yeah,
that's what I think you very beautifully said it, like, future proofing your career, future proofing your life, just to have like a balanced life, and like one that is very fruitful and just and ongoing, into
Yep.
the into the distance. Yeah.
I'm also curious in terms of you reaching out to all these different people. I sometimes feel some candidates will tell me, like, oh, I haven't reached out to that person in 10 years. Is it going to be weird if all of a sudden I'm like, hey, here I am? Can you help me out? Maybe I can help
Hmm.
you out too. What would be your response to that in terms of like people feeling awkward if they haven't reached out to somebody in a long time?
I would say, because I'm an awkward person at the end of the day, I would say feel awkward. That's cool. And then imagine in a future sense of like a friend reaching out to you after 10 years, they would be super stoked to hear from you. Of course. Like,
yeah,
and just imagine, like, not the worst case scenario of like, oh, this is awkward, but like, oh my gosh, like you're here, I'm here, you're doing that, well, I'm doing this. Like it's a jam session. It's about having fun. It's these are incredibly unfun times. It is not a party. So why not bring the energy and excitement
mm,
into your life by being energetic and excited over what other people are doing, because people are doing really amazing things. It's not a it it's difficult because like for me, sometimes I wish I had a full-time job and I am like applying for certain things, and sometimes you get bummed out because other people are having more luck than I am, but and it feels kind of mean to be like, or gross to be like, oh, I'm jealous, or I wish I was in that position. But it's always better to have that really real moment where to accept that feeling, to accept your awkwardness, and then just power through it and make those connections, be that positive force because it really does come back to you.
Yeah.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
it makes you feel better. It's kind of like going to the gym, exercise, like, exercise, like reaching out, exercise, um, not being so self-conscious.
Mm.
Self-awareness is absolutely key, but being self-conscious may not be necessary.
Yeah.
It's your own insecurities, and those are fine, but power through them, and the world will open up.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like the way you're phrasing that. It's kind of like the way that I'm interpreting that is like make your own thing, like make your own party.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is dire times. There are a lot of layoffs. It's weird, right? It's such a weird industry because we have all this booming technology and AI and tools and all this cool shit happening. And yet it's also like really tough for people to find full-time jobs. Like so many
Yes.
people I talked to were like, oh, I was second place. Or like, oh, I made it to final rounds and like 6 interview processes and I didn't get it. Right. But it's like, if you can just take that and just be like, okay, doesn't mean anything about me. Doesn't mean anything about my lovability or my value in the world. I just wasn't the right fit for those jobs for whatever reason. I'm going to make my own party. I'm going to make my own thing. And that's like a really attractive thing, right? It's like, once you have something going on and other people might be kind of nosing around and like, oh, what are you doing? What's that? What's that?
It's totally infectious.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
I wanna ask you quick. It's a slight tangent, I guess, but like founder designer, I feel like that's a bit of a topic out there in the world at the moment, and these companies that have designers as founders. In a different world, in a different like alternate universe, if you were to go back into another company and work as a designer, it's likely going to be a startup. That's what you love. Now, having been a founder yourself, would you approach design differently, or are there skills that you've learned now also as a founder that you could take to a new company working under a founder, perhaps, but a different kind of sense of business or strategic way that you might approach the design work itself? Like, yeah, how are you seeing those two roles come together now between founder and designer?
I think I would definitely have a different perspective on the companies that I would choose, why I would choose them. I'd say one of the big things is that I would look and ask about company finances, especially startups,
Sure.
because it's like, what is the longevity?
Yeah.
And that's a very sticky question.
Yeah.
Understanding like, what are the biggest opportunities that they have? What are the biggest challenges? And like kind of digging like very gently into, well, what are the finances that, how well are you doing? What is your runway?
Yep.
I think that's absolutely key because it's if you're committed and then they go under in like 3 to 6 months, it's a heartbreak, super heartbreak. So I would have a different perspective in terms of as a designer working for a business.
Yeah.
I would see I would also see, since as a founder, like I feel like I have a lot more to say and contribute, and as a leader, as a player coach, as an IC, and I would actually want to talk to the CTO and the CEO and all the other C-suite because like as a as like an early stage founder and as a designer who likes that space, you're going to be working like hand in glove with
Hand in hand.
everybody.
Yeah.
And you better like who you are going to be in the trenches with. And so do they have enough money? Are they good human beings? Do you vibe with them? And then finally, do they have a mission that is worthwhile pursuing? Because again, in a startup, you will not be working like 8 hours a day. Actually, most people don't work 8 hours a day. Usually it's like 9 to 10, even if you're like at a full-time job in a corporation, but you will be working weekends. Yes. You had better be committed. And so actually doing your due diligence in terms of like emotion, finances, I would do that differently in terms of like, being in startup world.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great advice, you know, and most companies there should be with, you know, you're not asking to see their bank accounts per se, but there are ways that you can, I think there's quite typical questions that you are fine to ask most startups around funding stages that they might be at, how much they've raised, some of those runway questions as well, how they're spending the money that they've raised, maybe the way that they're thinking about raising more money down the track. So you can definitely protect yourself. And then some great designers I've worked with in the founding side are great at asking questions about, well, what's the problem that we're solving for? What's the opportunity in that market? You know, is this product just limited to this very small niche, or can it grow beyond that? And what is the size of that market? What are the other you know, so you can kind of dig into a few things and try to protect yourself as well in making a good choice about who you want to work with. And you're seeing firsthand the mechanics of some things that go beyond just like, oh, yeah, seems like they like design. It's like, oh, maybe ask a few other questions.
Actually, what that reminded me, I was just going to say, like, what that reminded me of is that it's a two-way street. You would love to have a role with them. They would like to have, you know, somebody fill that role. And so you are investing in one another. And so it's really like they're pitching themselves to you. So you should have some visibility into their finances, like what you had said, very gently into their finances, like, you know, where are they going to be moving in the next like couple months, year, 2 years. You are part of the team. You're spending your time and you are spending, you know, your efforts to better them as a product and as a company. And so you should have every right to understand what you're getting into. So,
and they should be pitching to you. That's I think a really important point that you just brought up, is that if the company is kind of like, oh, our shit doesn't stink and you should be happy to work for us, you should be happy to have a job. Right? That's a signal. That's a signal that the culture is like, how they treat design, how they view the importance of design, or just people in general, right?
Absolutely.
Even just the design role being probably marketing all the way through UX and research and coding and front end. And so, I was just going to ask, are there any like turnoffs, red flags that are like, you know, glaring at you when you're interviewing these founders too?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I usually ask them, what is their favorite app and why?
I love that.
And it's like, do they, I mean, can they point out a good design, and can they articulate, like, good design, bad design? It's all subjective to a certain extent, but can they point out as to why? Because whenever they give feedback, whenever you're having a conversation, are they going to micromanage? Are they going to say focus on the business impact? Like, where at what, like, what view are they going to be dealing with? Is it at the 30,000-foot strategic view, or are they going to micromanage you at the 30-foot view? And is that appropriate? Maybe it is at certain times, maybe not. So, so yes, that's what I would recommend. Yep.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm always, I definitely bust that one out a little bit, especially, you know, a lot of companies talk about, look, great design, super important here. We're all about craft. We really want a designer with taste. And you go, okay, great. So what do you think's a great app? Like, what have you used that you think embodies that? Let's take it a step further. Or, you like this app. What is it that you like about it? What gives you a good feeling about it? You know, can you articulate that? Oh, just like it. Okay. So it's immeasurable.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, smart. So everybody who's tuning in, if you have questions for Chi-Chi, please.
Always.
Starting company.
We've just been gabbing away here. I've been looking at the chat to see if there's questions. I do see one from Camille. It's a very important question, very serious.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on socks?
Yeah.
Oh, Camille and I.
Just kidding, LOL.
Oh no, I was going to tell like an origin story of like how marketing and design works together with analysts. So when we were at Equity, we were making a bunch of swag for the company, and there were socks, and this was a turnaround time of like an hour and a half. And so she had to sketch things up with our beloved analyst, and they said, here, make something fun, do something wonderful. And it was like, well, that's not a brief. And then I thought, you know what? Well, they're having fun. Why can't I have fun?
Yeah.
And so it what was really funny is that it's a wealth management company, and they have portfolios, which is essentially pieces of a pie. And I had made something beautiful in graphics, so half was like half was orange, the other half was teal. And when we had actually gotten them made, our analyst was like, "That's a very bad portfolio split. Like that's not very differentiated." And I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, you should have told me
no.
earlier that like this was actually not a good design in the sense of like, analysis and
They're
at the
over
heart of it."
leveraged on one stock.
Yes,
One
that is
stock on your
exactly
sock
it.
is no good. Yeah.
Yes. And they came up with the tagline, which is "Socks go up," and they had it like stock as if it was like the ticker. What is it? The stock name. So Apple is
Oh,
APL.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
did SOK. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
super cute, and it was just like we were all together, sitting within like a foot and a half of one another, just like bouncing ideas off. So that's what I think about socks. They're awesome.
Okay. That makes me think of another trait, if you will, that it seems that you embody when it comes to design, which is just like anything and everything. In a startup, it's like you designed an entire wealth management platform and you designed the socks. Like,
Yes.
it's anything and everything as needed, when needed. You're just kind of going for it sometimes, and that's a real no ego, not precious kind of way to go about it, I think, too, which I think a lot of great early stage designers have as well. So
like I like working with startups where the founders are just like, we all change the coffee in the coffee machine. Like I do it, the most junior person does it, we all do it in between. It's like we're all just kind of taking care of business.
Yeah.
All hands on deck, going for it.
Yeah, I like Camille says sock ticker.
Yes, stock
Love
ticker.
It. Like a stock ticker.
Yeah, that's so great.
I'm going to pull another comment from Leslie. Hey, Leslie, I think you're in San Francisco.
Yep.
Great conversation. I think trying to help yourself and others feel less awkward to meet other creative people. Thanks to Jared for sharing one on LinkedIn. I recently found a great design group in the Bay Area called the DOOO Club.
Ooh, club.
The Do Club.
The Do Club.
I love
what
that
stands for.
Design something.
Yeah.
Design out of office.
Ooh, it's a remote group, maybe.
That's actually kind of cool.
Well done. Good naming. I like that.
I could be totally wrong.
Totally wrong, but someone started.
If not, you're welcome
to. That's a good
to
name. It's very evocative. It says it can be interpreted in many different ways, and all of them are good. So very well done.
I'm glad people are getting out there and doing a bit more in person as well with some of this networking. We're seeing the value of it. You're real quick on this. Your brother is in Texas. Have you gotten together as yet to do some work jam sessions together? I know you do a lot of like Zoom and whatnot, but have you done anything in person on the work front? Yeah.
So I have gone down to Texas, I think 2 or 3 times now, where we just need to be face to face and like taking notes, and like writing things, just on Zoom doesn't help. Like we were together with like our little markers and, just pacing things up, and it is incredible. It's just so much faster to do things in person. And the hope is that sometime in end of summer, fall, like we can get together again and hopefully bring other people along for Outback.
More parts of the business.
All hands are important.
And what would your advice be? So for people that maybe are like, oh, like I could start sending up with a family member of mine or maybe a good friend of mine. What are some of the like advantages of working with somebody who you're so close to, but then also maybe some of the disadvantages?
So boundaries. My older brother gave me this. It's the Brave Founders deck. And we have all these little questions. Imagine a scenario where the company is successful, but you are unhappy. What does that look like? So we actually go through these. We check in and say, how's it going? How was your day? And we actually do this because like we're not just brother and sister, but we're in a business together that's really important for one another. Or this was another one. What do we do if we can't agree on a decision that has to be made? Big problem, because as siblings you can fight and you can just you can bring up the past and that's cool. That's as brother and sister. But when you're together as founders, you can't let that get in the way of the larger picture. So
Mm.
I have to thank my older brother for giving us these cards, and my younger
great.
brother for going through the actual exercise. I think we do this maybe like twice a month. When we're not talking about business.
I'm a big
love
fan of
that.
those card decks. There are so many right now, and they're really,
Mhm.
really helpful to like be insightful and dig a little deeper and
Mhm.
have real conversations.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I think we have
We got a question from Christian. Is this your Christian, Gigi? Like the Christian?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
We know Christian.
Another New York, also at the first stuff.
Hey.
Christian was there too.
Awesome. Question for Chi-Chi. What's one belief you had at the start of working on your startup that turned out to be wrong or different?
I'm right all the time. I just no.
Yeah, I mean, trick question, right?
Right.
I
Nice
know.
one.
Exactly.
Good try, Christian. Good try. Yeah.
Let me think. That turned out to be wrong or different. Oh, 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 oh. I thought that it would be really, really easy to do a friends and family round.
Oh,
Just yeah, and just it turned out to be they are investors. They are not
Yep.
just friends and family, but you have to show proof of concept. You have to show reach, impact. You have to show where there's friction. You have to be super
They wanted
honest
the full
because
pitch. Yeah.
exactly. You treat them the same way, and not that we're like, oh, give us money and just trust us because we're family. It's like, nope, nope. They ask every single month, how is the business doing? They
I
want to
love it.
know details. You can. I think we're actually going to formalize it into safes. So so my little brother and I, we actually talked with Carter for like an intro call just to
Yep.
kind of see like what we needed to do, and we'll probably connect with them again because now we have more interest in other family members, and we need to formalize things because who wants to be in a situation where things go tits up or things go to the moon and the money and the investment aren't all locked up and
Yep.
clean. So
Yep.
so yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay.
Mm.
Another whole thing to navigate for you as a founder that maybe you wouldn't typically as a designer in a company, and now you're building this whole other muscle and skill set around
Yeah.
this experience. A lot of experience points you're gaining. Love it.
Totally. And I was telling you guys the other day too, if I see somebody's resume and maybe they've worked at like big places or startups, or maybe they've been at bigger places more recently, but then I see they've been a founder, like they've actually been an entrepreneur, they've started their own thing, or maybe it's like their own freelance business, whatever it might be. Those people have a little extra special something, like a little je ne sais quoi, where it's like, oh, I know that it might work out better in a startup, right? Because it's like once you've been that founder, you've been that entrepreneur, you know what it's like to work with ambiguity. You know what it's like to work really hard. You know what it's like to work with like, very few people, but maybe it's all strong opinions, right? Like all those kinds of skills and many more are going to be really applicable to an early stage startup. So those kinds of people I might actually target first for like a founding product designer role or like a really early stage company too. So I think that would be, a good strategic move, kind of like, okay, I got laid off. Shit. Like now what? Like maybe starting a business is actually really good for your career. Maybe it's not just that business, but what it can actually bring you in the future too.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually, I have a friend of mine. She is also a product designer, and she wants to set up a small consultancy for her neighborhood. And so I actually asked her, so what do you want to do in your free time as a side hustle? Do you want to be at your computer, doing this consultancy, or do you want to be doing something else? And she happens to be this amazing cook. Like she makes these beautiful mochi muffins. And I told her like, it doesn't have to be tech. It doesn't have to be tech for your new business, for your new product. Like mochi muffins are totally a product. Like, can you imagine like her name is Mandy, and it's kind of like Mandy's mochi muffins, and it's like, exactly. You just said it.
Yeah, that's
And it
awesome.
was like, I got super stoked because I was like, you love doing this, and like you love being in the kitchen, and so don't just do don't just make a consultancy because like you're good at that and that's your day job. Like do something you really, really love and believe in. So that's exactly what I said about, when I'm interviewing founders, it's like, do they have a mission? Do they love what they do? Do they have a great vibe? It's like you should feel the same way about your own products, whether they be digital or a mochi muffin.
I love
like
that. Mandy's Mochi Muffins. Sign me up. Let's get some delivered.
Yes. I told her, yeah, it'd be great.
Awesome. Well, we're at time. We have just a minute left. Chi-Chi, do you have any final words for us? Any parting wisdom or anything that you want to share with everyone before we go?
Oh yes. So this is one of my I brought this up. This is my favorite books, The Shape of Design by Frank
Okay.
Chimera. And he actually had this beautiful definition of design. It is commerce speaking with the fiery tongue of art. And
Mhm.
so that is
Mhm.
very much like this. That's what I feel like design can still be these days. It's like it's not just like rote templates, it's not just workflows, it's not just like screens, but bring creativity and art when it's appropriate, when you can, to the designs that you bring to the world. So art is inspiring and it's amazing, it's creative and it's human. Don't get bogged down by just what AI is doing. Be a part of AI, let it be an enhancement as opposed to a detractor. But yeah, fiery tongue of art. That's what all of us do still. So
Okay.
yeah.
The Shape of Design. I love it. I love a book recommendation and sharing like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Yeah. Thank you for being on our show. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming and for imparting all
It was
your
fun.
amazing wisdom. And
Awesome.
we wish you best of luck with your startup, with your brother.
Outbox.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Mhm.
Go
Outbox.
check it out. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
All
Thanks,
right,
everyone.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Thank you
everybody.
all.
you, everyone.
See you all.
Bye.
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 Bye.